Hey there everybody, it's Angela with Word and Home, and I just realized I'm about a minute early, so come on in. Let's do a little bit of crafting together. It's Friday, and I hope everybody is looking forward to a good weekend and everybody's had a great week. So come on in and say hello. If you don't see the red live button up here, then you are catching the replay, and that is just fine. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments, and then just put hashtag replay in the comments so that I will know that you were here. So come on in and say hello. If you're on live, let me know you're here and tell me where you're watching from. Tell me something good about your day. Tell me something you're looking forward to this weekend. I'm hoping for sunshine and no rain because we are about rained out here in Oklahoma. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Diane. You're raining in Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness, you guys. I wish we could send this rain out of here to some of you guys that need it. We have had flooding. We had a lot more rain overnight and this morning. A lot of our streets were flooded. So I think we're good for a little bit. So I think I speak for probably all of my fellow Oklahomans when I say we're ready for a break from the rain. So come on in, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get started. This one will be for the 4th of July, and we are going to be making a little, I don't know, I'm going to call it a box of firecrackers. And you're going to need one of these little Dollar Tree boxes, and I use these a lot for a lot of different crafts. We're going to peel this off the bottom. So you'll need one of these. And then I picked up a dowel rod at Walmart, and it was $2.66. And I have already cut it up into what we're going to use for the firecrackers. But I have an end here, and I can tell you what it says, and I can even hold it up so you can get a picture of it. This dowel rod that I'm using, it was 7/8 inch in diameter, and it was 36 inches long. Okay, so I'll just hold that up there so you can kind of see it. But you can get these at Walmart, and obviously it's going to be much longer than this. It's 36 inches long, but you can get these at Walmart on the craft aisle. On my aisle, there's a craft aisle with glue and beads and all the things, and they have wood shapes, and they also have dowel rods over there. So I bought one of these, and I cut it into sections with the miter saw. Actually, Mr. Word and Home cut it for me, because I always, when I cut something around, I don't know why, it always makes me nervous. Sometimes I don't know if I wasn't holding it tight enough or what, but it jumps around. So he cut these pieces for me, and I got enough for 2 sets of 3 firecrackers, and then I had 2 5-inch pieces left, so I could make 2 more longer firecrackers if I wanted to. So depending on what lengths that you choose will, obviously determine how many firecrackers you get. And I cut a 5-inch section. I can't talk. A 4 and a 4.5-inch section, and then a 3.5-inch section, so that way they're staggered. So we're gonna have our firecrackers, and we're gonna put them in our little box. So this one's fairly simple, but I think it's gonna be really cute when we get it all put together. Oh, you've had a quiet day, Vicki? Awesome. Hi, Rhea. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Jenny. Thunderstorms in New Hampshire. I feel you. So, I don't care if I don't hear thunder again for a little bit. Anyway, Dana said thunderstorms are happening as we speak. Yeah. Oh gosh, I hope they do have indoor options for the wedding. This time I know this is the wedding time of year, but yeah, you just never know about rain in the spring. So hopefully, praying that all works out for that wedding. Okay, so I'm going to use just typical red, white, and blue, okay? Just the standard colors for patriotic crafts. I'm using just a navy blue, okay? This is a navy blue. This is red apple, and this is the Apple Barrel brand from Walmart, okay? And then I'm using this is called Milky White from Hobby Lobby. So you can tell, look at the cap, it's not stark white, it's more of a creamy white, which is fine. I'm kind of going for that look because I think I am probably going to darken up the whole project with some wax. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and paint our box first. And then we will paint our little firecrackers to kind of match it. So, and I'll paint it and then I'm going to distress it. And I am going to paint it all the way around, which on the sides of it, it's already, you know, on these little Dollar Tree boxes, it's nicely divided. So on the sides, it's nice. But then on the edges or on the end, I'm going to paint it as well. And we'll just have to kind of eyeball that. But I don't think it'll be that hard. So I've just excited to, I really love doing the patriotic crafts. But I know that a lot of people's minds are already thinking about fall. I've seen a lot of people talking about fall stuff, and of course, you know, when you go to Hobby Lobby, for one, they already have the fall stuff because, you know, they like to get a jump start on that, and they already have some Christmas stuff. You know, they're slowly getting that stuff out, and I don't like to complain about that too much because as a crafter, I know there's a lot of crafters that like to plan ahead, and for like craft shows and for gifts and things like that. And so I know that a lot of people, this allows them to kind of get a head start on that stuff, but it's still every year. I know it's going to happen, but every year I'm always like surprised. I don't know, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you know, fall is out already or Christmas is out. But especially this year for us in Oklahoma, because I feel like officially I know it's summertime and the kids are out of school and all the things, but because we've had so much rain, it just doesn't feel like, you know, summertime yet for us. Okay, so that's what, see, I'm just kind of eyeballing it on the end, and then we're just going to do this all the way around. And it sounds like a lot of you guys are getting rain. I don't watch the news, and I don't usually see, like, you know, the only weather I see is usually for my area, so I kind of live in a bubble. So looks like a lot of other people are getting rain too. Okay. This is a really pretty red. It's kind of a basic red, but once we kind of distress it, all of them, they'll get softened up a lot. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Sandy. I saw some dowels. Oh, you did? That's good, with larger flags at Walmart. And I don't know. I always try to check out the craft aisle when I go to Walmart, and because you just never know what you're going to find. Same thing everywhere, right? Dollar Tree, all the places. Try to, but I'll probably miss some stuff for sure. Okay, so there's our red, okay? And while I have my red on my paintbrush, I'm going to paint both of my smaller firecrackers. Actually, I think I'll do those white, and I think I'll do the mid-size. I think I'll paint it red. So I'm just going to paint these. That way we'll be all done with our red, and we can move on to another color. And you could probably, I'm sure you could get your dowel rods at Hobby Lobby and different places too. I just happened to be at Walmart, and I thought, you know, and I was thinking, what can I get to make some firecrackers? And I saw these, so I just grabbed one real fast. Okay. So what's everybody got planned? Anyone have anything fun planned for the weekend? I don't know what our weekend weather looks like. I haven't looked, so hopefully I'll be able to get out in the garden. I meant to share a picture yesterday. I have some blackberry bushes, and y'all, they are full. I've shared pictures before, but they are full of blackberries, and I picked some of them yesterday because there were some big blackberries on there, and I want to make a cobbler, but I don't have quite enough yet. I'm gonna have to wait another day or two, and maybe they'll all get ripened, and I'm so excited. because they look so good. I've got some tomatoes coming on. My okra is okay if it hasn't drowned out there in all of in all of the rain, because it's just so much water. Rhea, thank you for sprinkling. I said, oh, that's a great idea, Rhea. The handles from the foam paintbrushes to make firecrackers. That's very creative. And you're recycling. I love that. I love that idea. My problem is I don't always have the ability to think ahead on things like that. Like, you know, I usually wait till I'm in the moment and I need it. I thought about using some toilet tissue rolls, but I wanted something a little more solid, you know, so this is going to work great. And it's about the right size. Now, you know, you can buy dowel rods in all different diameters. And this is the largest diameter that I saw at Walmart. But I think it'll work well for this little Dollar Tree box that we have here. I'm going to paint the top of these too. Okay. So now our red ones are done. So I'm just going to set those right over here to the side. Okay. And we have our red section on the box done. And now we'll just move on to our navy. Oh, good. Good. A lot of rain. Okay, good. Well, Diane, guess what? I assume that's why mine are doing so well, because I'm new to blackberries. I had them last summer, but I planted them last summer, so we didn't get any blackberries. So this is the first time they have created any fruit, or berries. So I'm super excited, and that would make sense about the rain, because I'm telling you, I'll share a picture. I'll share a picture later. Some of those blackberries are huge on there. I was so excited. Mini rolling pins. Yeah, that's a good idea too. Hi, Lynn. You've been decluttering. Oh gosh, girl, I need to declutter, Rhea. Every day I probably need to declutter. Okay, and the two largest ones, we'll paint those blue. And obviously it's, you know, your choice what color you want to paint these. This is a pretty shade of blue. I do like this blue. But everybody, you know, just depending on what different colors or shades you want to use, what could really change the look up for you. Gonna end up with blue all over and paint all over my fingers. But I have been spending lots of time in the garden, and I have squash, and the squash has lots of blooms on it. I've really been watching for squash bugs, because, you know, I had a traumatic experience. So the last time I tried to grow squash, the squash bugs just were terrible. So this time I planted the flowers with them that the squash bugs supposedly don't like. So fingers crossed, this is going to be a better crop and a better experience, and we'll be able to get some squash out of them. And I've got some zucchini. I just kind of planted a little bit of everything all over my backyard. But I am excited to see what happens. You know, it's just, I like to grow things, but I'm just kind of new at having much of a garden. I usually just have a little bit here and there. Okay, so there's one blue one. We've got one more to go. 30 minutes a day. Perfect, Rhea. And that way you don't get so burned out, I think. You know, because sometimes, like, and I know I'm not the only one to do it, but you know, you pull everything out, and then when you pull everything out, it's just can be so overwhelming. And then that just makes you, or at least it makes me just want to put everything right back where I got it and just run away from it, because it's so overwhelming. But I like the idea of just doing a few minutes every day. A little progress, slow and steady. And these dowel rods, I mean, they seem to be taking this paint pretty well. They are going to be distressed a little bit, so it's not, I mean, if, you know, there's a few spots here and there, it's not that big of a deal, but they are painting up pretty easily. And I forgot to tell you guys, I'll show you in just a second. I did, after he cut them for me on the miter saw, I did drill just a little hole, not very deep, you know, just kind of a little shallow hole in the top of each one so that I can add some jute. You could do wire too, but I think I'm just going to do jute for the fuse. And if you didn't have a hole on top, you could still, I feel like you could still glue your jute on top and it would be fine. I just thought if I just drill just a little tiny hole, I can kind of stick that down in there. Okay, so two down, 4 down, 2 blue, 2 red. So we just need to do the white. Hi, Mary. Thank you for sprinkling me out. Blackberry pepper jam porta. That sounds so good. If I get, after I make my cobbler, if I get another good batch, I may try to look that up, Dana, because I like the peach jalapeno. My daughter and I love that over some cream cheese. So good. So blackberry would be delicious. We'll see. Maybe hopefully they'll keep producing for me. They're full right now, and I only bought 2. I kind of wish I would have got more, but I didn't want them to overtake my backyard. So I was kind of, you know, trying to not overdo it. Okay, so now we'll just paint our last 2. And then those others hopefully will be dry down enough. And we can move on, and we'll have to do our box too. I got excited and I moved on to my white firecrackers before I did the box, but that's okay. We'll go back and get it done. So does everybody do you have 4th of July or patriotic decor out? I do. I've got a lot of it out already in my home, and I just keep adding to it. But I'll leave it out even after July. I'll probably leave mine out through August, and then put my fall decor up in September. So I like the patriotic, the red, white, and blue, Americana, whatever you want to call it. And I liked it, and I wouldn't even mind using it all year round in my decor. I like it that much. Okay, there's one white one. It usually turns into a bit longer. Yeah. Okay. One more to go. And I like this color a lot. It's not technically, I wouldn't call it white, but I do like it a lot. Okay. Okay, now we're going to paint just the top of that one, and we will go back to our box. How have you guys, if there's anybody, if you shop Dollar Tree, let me know what you've been seeing at your Dollar Tree lately. I've been really kind of disappointed in our local Dollar Trees. I haven't had a lot of luck, and I don't know, they just seem to be a little bit lackluster. I'm not seeing a whole lot of new stuff. How's your Dollar Tree, your local Dollar Tree looking if you shop there? Okay. Back to the blue to do our middle stripe. Hi, Janet. Yep, you do. And the only thing, if you craft something, yeah, Vicky's going to get hers out this weekend. Rhea says she hasn't put hers out yet. I think I've told you guys, I'm sure I have, that next to Christmas, probably the patriotic decor is my favorite. So, okay, now I got to try not to get the blue on my red. That's the only thing. Try not to make a mess of it. Okay. It's gonna red. We'll have that little, there is like a little space in between those, but instead of trying to, you know, decide what color I want to put in there, I think I'm just gonna leave it like it is, and then when I add my wax on there, it'll kind of darken up that space, and so I think I'm just gonna leave that alone. Just kind of have to eyeball on the end here. And I happened to have a couple of these little boxes in my stash, so this worked out perfectly. I didn't have to go try to find one. I love it when that happens. But I like to keep these little boxes in my stash. I don't know about you guys, but this is just something. Okay, so there's that end. This is just one of those staple items that I try to always have. Okay. Okay, I've got that one. Now we just have to do the end. And as always, you know, if you make a little boo-boo here and there, if you're going to darken it like I am with some wax, that'll cover up some mistakes here and there. Okay, let's try to okay, there's that one. I'm going to go back over to this end and just try to get my blue to go down just a little bit further. Okay, so we've got our blue all the way around. I know, Dana, it seems to me like it's all, I mean, I used to could find some new things like, oh wow, you know, they've added something new, and it just seems like it's just the same thing. Watch for a second. Well, I have, they're next to my house. They're in a flower bed. And which was another reason why I only put 2 over there, because I want to kind of, I'll have to keep them trimmed up. You know, blackberry bushes, they'll go crazy. So I'll have to stay on top of it and keep them trimmed up. I do have something there that they can climb, hopefully. So, they're in a mulched bed, so hopefully, fingers crossed. I did think about that yesterday, though. I have some kind of critter in my backyard, and I think it might be a raccoon. Oh, yeah, Lynn, in Claremore, it's bare bones, yeah. Now, okay, well, it's pretty much a consensus then. It sounds like nobody's Dollar Tree has really had anything. But I was in my backyard yesterday, And so my son, a while back, early spring, helped me redo the beds in my backyard. And though they all have mulch, we put the weed barrier down, and it took a long time, but we got it done. And so I was outside. I've planted some lantana. You know, I've got all kinds of things planted out there because we've really worked hard on that this year. And there was poop in the bed out there, and I know it's not dog poop. And my girls, they don't poop in the flower beds. They never have, you know. And it doesn't look like dog poop. And so I'm wondering if I have a raccoon. I'm trying to decide what kind of critter, because it was pretty good sized. Trying to decide what kind of critter that I've got creeping around out there. And you're not going to be able to tell a big difference with this white color, because it's really about the same color as the box, but I'm still going to add it. Okay. But growing up, talk back to Dana about the blackberries. We had a creek behind our house, and I was always playing, you know, in it, or it didn't usually have a lot of water in it, but on the bank, there were tons of blackberry bushes, and they do get crazy, and lots of, you got to be careful for chiggers, and, you know, we call them chiggers, and mosquitoes, and all the different things when you're picking your blackberries. Okay, so we have it painted. Let's dry it down. And then I think we'll add wax to it. And I have something else I want to add to it as well. Something that I printed out. And we'll put our firecracker bundles together. We've got to distress everything too, I guess, first. Oh no, Rhea. I will, Mitzi. Hi, Mitzi. I will. I need to look at it. What does it look like? I should have taken a picture, but then I thought, do I want to share a picture of poop on there? So but that's a good idea to Google it. And be like, does anybody know what animal this might be? So we're going to take, I'm going to take just a sanding brush, and I might need, I have a file over there. I think that might be a little more, a little heavier grit, but I want to sand this down pretty well. Let me get the corners, and I really want it to look worn. So something like that. We're going to sand it just a little bit more. And make a big old mess. Get those edges. You're at a yard sale. How fun. I hope you find some good deals. It's warm in Oregon. If you have an Apple phone. I could Chat GPT it to you. Have you used Chat GPT for anything? It's kind of I just started using it for different stuff. It is so handy. And sometimes I just ask my son because he knows, he studied so much about a lot of animals and things. Oftentimes he can tell me. Okay, we're gonna get those edges really well. Okay, so we've got a nice little distressed look there. And I want it to soften down some, but I think, like I said, when I add that wax, I think it'll do it. Okay, and then I'm just gonna distress my firecrackers too. And it'd probably be better. It would probably be easier if you had a pliable piece of sandpaper. You could probably sand these a little bit faster a bit. Get those top edges where you see it's really visible on those. Okay, so around the top like that. Okay. On the river and some, oh no. We knew it wasn't a rat, it's a lizard poop. Oh my gosh. Well, surely this is not lizard poop, y'all. It's big. I mean, it's probably, I have small dogs, and it's probably close to the size of theirs, but it's not theirs. You know, you guys that have dogs, you know what your dog's poop looks like. I know it's not theirs, but it's probably equivalent to that. I mean, a lizard wouldn't bother me. I wish that was what it was a lizard. I just don't want it something after my, you know, my tomatoes and all that stuff. Okay, so there's the second blue one. Now, I'm going to use the other side for the red so I don't get blue on them. Janet, we, here in where I live, it was just thunderstorm with lots of rain. We didn't have any damage, but I do think, I read somewhere earlier that there may have been a tornado in maybe Guthrie, I think. So it's possible. Like I said, I need to check the news about, I just don't get on and check that stuff like I should. And I need to pay closer attention. Now this morning it was thundering and there was lightning and it was loud. And because I slept great, because when that weather's like that, I sleep better. But I did wake up and a couple times from that. Okay. We're getting a nice little distressed look on this one. Okay, so there's our red and our blue, and I've made a terrible mess. So, but I want to just distress my white a little bit, but I'm going to use something different because I don't want to get color all over that. And I just have a little file, and so I'll just use it for a little bit just to kind of get around the tops of this. You won't be able to tell that it's distressed too much, but if I add some wax to these, it might kind of catch in those sanded places. That might kind of give it a neat look. We won't do a whole lot on those. Try not to get my colors on here that are all the dust on my fingers. Okay. Now, let's take our wax and add some of that. We'll wax this first. Okay. And see how, just kind of how that I kind of darkened my white up a lot, but I think it's okay. I'm not hating it. Okay, and then we'll do our end. Okay. So we've got our wax on there. I'm liking that look. Okay. And then we could add a little bit, I don't know. I think I'm just going to leave my firecrackers the way they are. I don't think I'm going to try to add anything to those. I think we'll just do the box, okay? Now, for the front, I wanted to put something on the front of here, and I even thought about just stamping something, but actually, I should have done, I got my colors messed up, you guys. I meant to do red, white, and the blue on top, but I made a mistake, but it's all good. And this is, I just printed this on some tissue paper, and it just says red, white, and boom. And we're just going to decoupage that to our little box. Now, you could stamp it, you could write it if you wanted to. If you had some stamps, that would be super cute. I don't have any patriotic stamps. And honestly, I didn't want to try to stamp it the other way. I just didn't. So this is an easy way to put something on there. So it's just printed on tissue paper. And I know my camera's not flipped, but it says red, white, and boom. And so I'm just going to kind of tear this around the edges, and we're going to decoupage this on here. I have a water pen. I'm not sure. I don't know how well it's going to work for me, but we'll just use this and kind of get this wet a little bit so I can tear it. And then we can just put it on there. Can you hear the dogs in the neighborhood are going crazy. Okay. You could print this on material too. That'd be really cute. Okay. And then I'm just going to put it, I'm decoupaging it right there. I think we need to take a little bit of this off right here. just lay that on there. That's going to be cute. Okay, let me grab some Mod Podge. Actually, I think I have some right here. And then we'll put this on here. And I don't even think I'll do the iron-on method. I think I'll just kind of press this on here. Because if it kind of sticks up on the edges, I think that might be kind of cool. So I'm going to stick it to the center. Okay. And then we'll just put a little bit down here and just kind of brush it on. And just let those edges kind of stay sticking up a little bit. Okay. So something like that. So red, white, and boom. And I have, so when we cut kits on our Glowforge, sometimes I get some different little shapes and things that I think are neat, that are from when we cut different shapes. And these kind of look like little diamonds. And so I thought, maybe I could pop some of those on there. So I think I'll just pop some of these on here. And we'll glue them, and then we'll put our little fireworks together. And I'll let you see what those are going to look like. Thanks, Rhea. I love to print on tissue paper. It's really kind of become one of my go-tos. Especially when I don't, because I don't feel like I have the best, like handwriting. Like, you know, some people can write stuff on and their handwriting looks great. I'm just never happy with mine. So that printing on the tissue paper, it's really kind of a lifesaver for me. Okay, so I'm just going to paint these just this kind of create this white. And just kind of pop those on there. We could do, I have some smaller pieces. Let's see. If I could do a smaller one. Well, those are really small. Okay, I think we'll just go with these. But I think I kind of like them better, maybe painted red. At least this one up here. Let's try that and see. On the top. I don't know. Can't make up my mind. No, no glitter. I know, shocking. But glitter would be pretty on there, wouldn't it? It would make it sparkle. May just give me an idea, Rhea. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with this, with the lighter color, the white. Okay. Now, I'm gonna set that right there and let that just kind of dry down for a minute. And let's take our firecrackers. And they're gonna be kind of bundled together like that. But we need to put a fuse in the top. And I forgot to plug that in. But while that's heating up, I'm just gonna use some jute. And if you don't cut a very long piece, so if you keep your pieces for your fuses pretty short, then they'll sit there, they tend to sit up there nicely. So I'll show you. I want to use hot glue, but until that gets heated up, I'll just drop a drop of craft glue in there, because you don't have to use hot glue. And you're going to have just enough glue, because I drilled that little hole, just enough for that glue to sit down in there, and you can stick your little fuse down in there. And this might work better than the hot glue, actually. It's just going to take it just a little bit longer to set up. So there's our blue one. Okay. We'll just cut our little fuses. See, just like that. That one might be a little long. And then this one is for my white one. Okay. So super simple. I've seen people use wire, and the wire is really cute too. Definitely. That would work. Vintage sparkler boxes. Oh, I bet those were cute. Hi, Carol. Okay. So then they're just gonna kind of fit together like this. If you could decoupage paper on these. You don't just have to paint them. That would be super cute. Let's go ahead and do these as well. If you could find vintage patriotic paper, that would be adorable. It's just harder and harder, I feel like, to find the vintage look. I know it's not actual vintage paper, scrapbooking, but you know, I used to be able to get for Halloween, and you know, just for about all of the holidays, the kind of the vintage look, that retro, and I love it. But now I just can't hardly find that like I used to. But if vintage patriotic would be super cute on these. I'm going to put this little stem on this guy down here. Okay, so there's that one. You probably could order it on Amazon. I need to get on there and see, because I like to use that vintage looking paper on a lot of my crafts. Hi, Amy. Thank you. Okay, one more for this one. Okay. And like I said, it'll take that craft glue a little bit to set up, but now I want, see if this is heated up yet, because I wanted to put these little on there. Okay, there's our little diamonds or whatever you want to call them. So there's our little box. And now I have some material, these torn material strips, you know, that I tea stain, coffee stain. I love to use these. And I thought, what if we tied our little firecrackers? What if we bundled them up using a piece of this? That would be cute. Probably don't need that quite a long of a piece. Okay. And then we'll add a little tag to it too. I think that'll be sweet. You could stamp on your actual firecrackers. That would look good. Just tie them together like that. And then I'm just looking to see how they're going to look in the box. You won't really be able to see. You'll have to really raise this up to see it, but how they're tied. My little double knot on here, and then we'll cut this off. Okay. So there's our little bundle. Okay. You could stamp something on this. That would be cute. Could stamp USA on there. I've done that before. That would be really sweet. Oh, we need to turn it around this way. And I'm going to put two little bundles of firecrackers in here. So there's one. We've got one in there. And let's tie this one. I think this piece maybe is long enough to tie these together, to bundle them up. Ah, they don't fall over. Okay, let's take this kind of to the top. Okay. Now, I did have one more little thing that I wanted to do, because you're going to have your little, and you could actually, there's plenty of room in here. You could do 3 firecrackers if you wanted to, 3 bundles, or, you know, whatever you wanted. So if it's your little bundles on there, I thought you could do a little tag. I had, but I just don't know. I think that's too long to put on there. I thought about attaching, you know, just a little tag to them, but I think that tag is too long. If I don't have a little star tag, but a star tag would be super cute. Let me think here. I do have just a little, I have a little wood star cutout. I could have glued him or glued it on there. What do y'all think? Do you think for this one that simple is better and just leave them like that? Or do they need something else? Yes. Oh, moss. Yes, that's a good idea. I was going to put some moss in there. So I do have moss. Let me get some get some of my trash out of the way, if I can find my moss. What did I do with my moss? What was that we were saying earlier? Something about decluttering? If you can't find your bag of moss that's the size of a Volkswagen, then you might need to declutter. Oh gosh, thank you. Thanks, Diane. Okay. Kind of lay one. I see what you're saying. I could kind of lay one on the side, and let's put a little bit of our moss in there. I don't know where that stick came from. So we've got all of our little moss in there. And that will kind of raise them up. Yeah, that was a good idea. I'm glad you said something, because I would have gotten off here and thought, oh shoot, I wanted to put moss in here. Okay. So I'm going to put just a little dab of hot glue on this, because my material is kind of biting me a little bit here. It's not wanting to lay down. So we'll just put that little smidge of that. And then we'll have something like that. It's cute, isn't it? If I had some woods, if you had some wood star cutouts, kind of tuck in some of those in there, that would be cute. You could probably, like I said, you could probably get another bundle of fireworks in there. And I have some individuals, so I could still paint. I could paint one of these, the 5-inch that I had left, and I could kind of tuck that in there. I think that anything that you do, I think would be cute. You could add a lot to it. Thank you, Mitzi. Aw, thanks, Ria. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, red and blue buttons. That would be cute. Maybe, you could put a button like on... Could put a button on this one in the center, or even a star. I could have even used one of my star cutouts, my little wood cutouts. Let's look at this one. I think I'm just going to use, I have a little bitty teeny tiny star. I don't know where. I mean, it came probably from one of our wood kits or something. I have little, pieces just everywhere. And as a matter of fact, I have a bunch of just miscellaneous pieces, shapes and things, wood cutouts. And if you guys, I thought about listing those in my shop. And if you would be interested in that, just let me know in the comments, because I might list, I have several bags of those, and I've been thinking about listing them. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. Just put bag or something just to let me know. And if I get a good response, I'll put those in some of those in the shop, and they will just be miscellaneous pieces. Okay, so there's that little tiny little wood star, and I think that's cute. Now, if I just have a little tiny wood star somewhere else. Oh, here's one. And we'll put this on the other one. Oh, wrinkled up red tissue paper. That's a good idea. You would love wooden shapes. Okay. I'm going to work on it because I have several bags of just, you know, miscellaneous. And I will get those. I'll get those listed and I will put a post out. Okay. This is another little teeny tiny star. I like the idea, and I might even have like some red crinkle. You know, you could do the crinkle too. It's not called crinkle, it's called bag filler. You know what I'm talking about? You could tuck a little bit of that in there, and that would be really sweet. Okay, so there's our little firecracker bundles in our little red, white, and boom box. So yeah, I think it turned out sweet. I love these little firecrackers. And so it was $2.66 for one dowel rod at Walmart. And I got all of these, so enough for 2 bundles. And then I had 2 pieces left over, just in case you hopped on lot. And these are 5-inch pieces. So if you made your cuts even smaller, you could get more. So that's what we created. I think it turned out really sweet. It may need, I think it still needs something else. So I'm gonna have to add, I've got to figure it out. Maybe some crinkle, but maybe tissue paper, like you guys suggested. I'll have to kind of play around with it until I get it exactly, you know, the look that I want. And maybe even some little stars, you know. Just to get it just how I want it. I add a little more moss to it. So that's what I've got for you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I love to create, and I love it that we can chat and visit while I create, and I love to get your feedback and get your ideas. You give me such great ideas on these. So that is it, you guys. And if you're interested in just the miscellaneous shape packs, keep your eye out on the page, and I will let you know when I add those to the shop. Okay, guys, thanks for hanging out with me on this really pretty Friday. The sun's shining out there. I hope you have a great weekend. If you've been getting a lot of rain, I hope the rain stops for you this weekend so that you can enjoy some sunshine. So stay safe, and I will see you again next week. Bye, guys.